What's up, guys? It's Charles here with Rocket Punch. I'm going to do a review of the Soul of Chogokin GX-95 Gordian. Loving the new design of the boxes. I just wish the cardboard was a little bit thicker. You can see a little kind of metallic rainbowy type font kind of design there. Here's the sides. Nothing out of the ordinary for Soul of Chogokin, but here's the back. Shows pretty much everything, every picture you can take of all the little features and little optional parts and all the things you can expect to find in the set. Once we get inside, there's 3 trays. We have 2 with the optional parts and swords and all that stuff, the optional hands, and then another tray with the stand parts. And then the 3rd tray is just all the figures that are included in the set. Now, I know a lot of you here are expecting me to do comparisons between this and maybe the vintage figure and maybe even the CM's figure, if you guys know that I have that one. Well, the vintage now belongs to my friend John. I think I traded that with some other stuff for an old Iron Gear figure. And my CM's is nowhere to be found. Somewhere in storage, but I cannot find it, so I apologize. But if you're familiar with the vintage figure, you always know that this little guy was made out of like PVC, and it would melt right into the styrofoam. I think it was this guy. Like his arms are out, and he would just sink right in and become part of the styrofoam. That's not the case here, thank God. And we don't have any of the broken blue and broken, what do you call it, knees. These were always notorious for having the knees broken on the vintage and the head. I think the one I had didn't have broken knees, but I think it just had a broken neck. But anyway, we're not here to discuss that one. We don't even have it to show you guys. So we're going to continue on with the review here. I do want to start off by thanking my Patreon supporters for allowing me to buy stuff for the channel here. One of those things is this wonderful thing, which you'll see in a second, which weighs the figures. I haven't been taking that to my advantage recently, but hopefully I'll start doing that a little bit more. I just end up forgetting during the review. But anyway, we're going to start off with Daigo Otaki, which is the little main figure here. And thank God he's nice and painted and very detailed. You can kind of see his face details here. But let's see how much he weighs. If we take a look, it says 4 grams now, but he was weighing 3 before. So maybe I just had to center it better on the scale there. Now in the anime, Daigo does get inside of this dude here, which is Protessor. Right? And Protessor weighs 23 grams. I don't know if it's, whoops, messed it up. 23 grams. I don't know if you can see that. Then when Protessor gets in trouble, he gets inside Dellinger, which is a little bit bigger robot. As you can see, there's a theme here. It's like a Russian doll type robot, just like Baikenfu. If we look at his weight, he weighs 83 grams. And when those other 3 together are not enough, obviously you have Garbin here, okay, which is the biggest one in the set and the heaviest, coming in at 877 grams. And since I just recently did a review for Baikenfu, which is from the Pose Plus line, I'd like to maybe weigh him here also to see how he compares with this guy. And Romstall weighs in at 6 grams. Now Baikenfu only has 3 total robots. Gordian has 4. Baikenfu does have 3 pieces that come together, and Gordian does have 4 itself, but this is the closest one, so we're going to skip over the other little figure, the Protessor. We're going to move on to Dellinger here, and you can see Ken Ryu, and we'll see how much this dude weighs. He comes in at 148 grams. Then of course we have the main bots here. I can't even fit both of them really on this scale, but you can see they sort of scale with each other. It's kind of hard to tell because Baikenfu is actually a little bit taller. It's just the perspective on this is a little thrown off. Let me see if I can do something better for you. Alright, that's a little bit better. You can see Baikenfu just ekes past him, but like really not by much. And Baikenfu himself weighs 876 grams. Alright, so the Baikenfu set altogether weighs in at 1,031 grams. And Gordian altogether, can you guess the weight? 997 grams. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, we're going to take a look at the first 2 figures here. Again, we have a Daigo here, and then we also have Clint the Panther. Fortunately, Clint the Panther does not have any articulation points. He's just a flexible PVC. Even he fainted at that comment there. So, yeah, but we'll take a look anyway at Clint here. He is painted nice, unlike the vintage, which was all one color, I believe. But unfortunately, no articulation, which is not a big deal. I don't think it's that big of a part of the set. Daigo, on the other hand, does have articulation, and a good amount of it. We do have the head here on the neck joint. Not much up and down movement, but obviously side to side. We have the shoulders, and you can see there's a good amount of movement on the shoulders. We have bicep swivel. We have the elbow. Is it a double jointed? No, it's just one joint there. Get about that much articulation. And then we have the hand, which is also probably a little tab. Yes, it is. All right, pop that back in. We do have a dancing feature. No, not really. That's just the ab crunch I was trying to show you guys. And then the waist just turns a little bit. It doesn't actually have a waist right here by the belt. It's actually right up under here, so you don't get too much movement there. The scarf is just flexy. We have ball joints on his crotch here, and as you can see, the knees bend backwards. I don't like when that happens. Just, you know, cover that hole up just so it doesn't, you know, pull back the other way. But that might have something to do with the combination. So it's kind of weird. But you can see the ball joints there, legs forward, thigh swivel. You get the knees, and then you get the ankles that are on little ball joints. So we'll move on to Pro Tester here. One thing that may be immediately obvious is that he has hollow areas. I find it strange because the Soul of Chogokin Baikonfu has, like, I don't know if it was all the figures or just the big figure, but they did come with little dummy parts. I'm not sure if they had it for the smaller figures, but it would have been cool. Whoops, would have been cool if I didn't do that. But it would have been cool if they included like little plastic dummy things you could put inside to fill up some of those gaps. Unfortunately, it does not. All right, so getting that out of the way, we'll move on to the articulation for this guy. We have the head here, which moves left to right, not really up and down unless you move this, but that kind of looks stupid. And then we have these little pins here for the shoulders, so it's just friction shoulders there. They do not move forward this way, all right, because of the design, but you do have like a swivel right here on the elbow, and then obviously the elbow and the hand here. And as far as the waist, it does have a waist. What was that snapping sound? All right, so yeah, there's a waist. It's kind of like uncomfortable to move it. And oh, actually there's another thing too. There's like these little clear pieces that are in here. I don't know if those things are to keep these two parts like together so they don't wobble around, but I notice all the robot figures have that. And then you can see the crotch joints inside. Can you see that? All right, which would allow you to move the leg about this far from side to side, not much more than that. And you also have a swivel, which is kind of a weird swivel. It's just right back here, but it does give you a little bit more. But again, a lot of the whole emptiness going on there. And you have the knee, which only goes about that far, and then you have the toe right here, little pin there, and then the ankle, and then this like a second knee, like Colin McGregor, I guess. Ooh. Now we'll move on to Dellinger here. He's more of the same, just a bigger size. You have the same kind of articulation, except the head just moves a tad bit more up and down. But side to side, that same weird neck thing here, which is not really articulation. You have exactly the same articulation everywhere else. It's literally identical. You have the waist here, not much because of this little belt buckle. Yeah, there's really not much more to say. This gets a little bit more knee than the other one. Same thigh swivel hinge, I should say. And same broken leg kind of knee thing there, which is more for transformation, but you get the knee like I showed you, and you get the feet, which, by the way, so far the die cast on these last two figures has only been in the feet. Then we'll move on to this big boy here. Similar, but I'll go over a couple of different things that you may not find in the other one. So first of all, we have the head, which moves back and forth, and the ears fall off when you look at them, and up and down movement here. Same kind of neck thing. The shoulders are the same as the other ones, except you have ratchets, right? You have the same swivel at the elbows, and you kind of get like this kind of weird elbow design there, but you get a little more articulation out of the elbows. And we have the fists on the ball joint, We do have articulation, again, very limited, and it is looking like there's paint rubbing together. You just want to be careful. Looks like it just rubs here, so be careful with that. And then same thing, like I said, it just hinges there. Not a lot of difference in between the articulation from this and the others, but you do have ratchets, which you don't have on the other ones. And you have the ankle here, which pulls out a little bit. All right, and you can see it's metal ball jointed and metal gears for the what do you call it, the ratchets, and obviously the toe. So this whole piece here is metal. You also have see what else is metal. The forearms are metal, and is the chest, well, this whole area, basically this whole big bulky area here. I'm gonna get this ear on because it's bothering me. Now, one thing that kind of annoyed me is how flimsy it feels when it stands. Get more of an effect this way. And that has to do with just the design of it. I mean, I don't know if it'll be a little more solid once it's combined. We'll find out later. But it feels awkward. So let's try to get these ankles a little bit angled here. But it's got more of a vintagey look. It doesn't have like that modern crazy Gokin feel to it. It's kind of like a mix in between both, like a vintage and modern. It's got the nice finish of a modern figure, but it's got that awkwardness of a vintage figure. So like a vintage figure would probably normally be everything straight. Let's see if we can get some kind of vintage look out of this, and it does it pretty well. If you look at it, if we scroll down, it has a nice like 80s robot look to it, which is, I mean, it is an 80s robot, but you know what I mean, like a figure out of the 80s. Now, before we move on, guys, I did want to show you the instruction booklet. It's a standard fare here. It's just a little booklet with nice glossy paper, but I did find the artwork nice. There's a lot to read here. You know, so it shows some clips from the anime and some line art here, and then it shows the toy line. And as you can see here, there's a black version. Check that out. That's got to be amazing. Who owns that? Is that one of those things you can't find and costs a bunch of money? Maybe. And then here's the original set. The one that I had, the set was not the Japanese Poppy version. It was the Godaikin. Okay. And I like this little cutout, this little cutaway that they did there. And this looks to be like a jumbo, if I'm not mistaken. Has little missiles there. And then it just shows you the parts it comes with, and obviously the combination sequence, which is very detailed and color, and it highlights certain areas, tells you what to look out for. So, you know, very typical of what Bandai does with their releases. And I really like the photography in here and the nice clean white background so you can see everything clearly. Now, the set does come with an alternate face. This is considered the earlier model according to the book, but I think it might, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember the whole history here. If I'm mistaken, it's the version that appeared earlier in an anime. Maybe somebody wants to clarify that, but I think that's why. I'm trying to go off by the review I did a long time ago of the CMs, which also had a different face. But to get that done, the ears I'm just going to take off because they just fall off way too easily, especially this side. But get this crest off. It makes it a little easier to grab the face here. Pull that off. Pop that back on. That's not going to come out. It's wedged in there, so hopefully it'll come out later. But let's put that on. I kind of like this face, actually. I think I may even like it better than this one. I kind of like the square chin on that one. I don't know. We'll put this one back, but that's just so you can see what it looks like with the alternate face. Alright guys, I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody for watching this video and all the other videos I have. Please consider subscribing. It's free. It really helps out the channel. And click the notification. Worst case scenario, you'll get notifications when a cool video is up. And if you want to help keep the content going for as long as possible, please consider using the links in the description below. If you're looking for some cool stuff to buy or just browsing, clicking that link helps immensely on this channel. And also Patreon, even as little as $1 a month. If you guys feel it's worth it to continue this going, really appreciate your support. Oh, by the way, guys, there's a new feature on my videos. If you look below, there's t-shirts available, or a t-shirt available. I'm going to be working on other designs. I'm just trying to think of other stuff I can offer. But if you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it too. Again, all the funds that come in for this channel are for this channel. to bring more content. Anyway, we'll get back to the review. Thank you. Even though it's a simple set, it does have a lot of extra parts here. So you see these big long rod here, this connector, you get the axe, get a couple of swords, some chromy spikes, some Gordian bombs, some missiles, and obviously all his alternate hands up there, and some alternate hands for Dellinger, and also for Protessor. So for Protessor, we'll take off his little hand there. It's on a ball joint. We're going to put this one that holds the weapon on here. He's also got the open hand and then another open fist here. We're going to use this open fist there. We're going to grab a Gordian bomb. And you do have to be careful. There's a little spike. I can't. Here we go. You're going to take the spike off right here. All right, and you're left with this. Then you're going to put this here, and this goes into his hand. Then you attach the other end here, and then the spike, and you get that weapon there. Then the bomb drill is very similar. You take the little bomb here and put this spike right through to hold both ends, and you have a bomb drill. Then for Dellinger here, you got a couple of pieces you can use. Pop off his fist like so. Pop in this one, which holds weapons. Then you can just pop the axe right into the fist there. And we can also use this sword, which I'll show you right now. And there he is with this sword. Now when you're putting the weapons in, it's kind of warm in here, like very warm and sweating. So the vinyl is nice and soft, so what I do is I just separate the fingers here a little bit just to allow that to slide in without getting any paint to rub off on the fist, because sometimes that can happen. And that's what he looks like. I'm holding here his standard ear, which has an angle, right? So you can remove that, and it actually has extra ears with straight ears, but this is actually part of a weapon, but you can use that if you want, like that. So you can see it comes off with the weapon. It's keyed also. The key is for these little gray pieces, whoops, that are inside here, so that way when it keys in, it's straight. You don't have to fumble around with the angle of the ear. Let's go ahead and get this onto Garbin. So we're going to use one of these alternate hands, and both of these things are painted, so again, be careful. This was a little harder to open, but you can get it in there just like this. Alright, so that's what it would look like on his fist. Now you do have to remove the ears for this, because obviously he uses them as a weapon. We're going to pop that on there. I did realize that since it does have the different ears, these are the ears that go with the other face. And just because I didn't show you before, that's what he looks like with the alternate face and those straight up ears. Now, just for the sake of my sanity, I'm going to show you this long handle here. You can put this piece here, which according to that says Mighty Libor or Libor. Okay, and then you can also attach this here, so you can see this is very similar to what his ears look like, because this actually is made out of his ears. So you can use that as like a big spear, or pop this off and it becomes like a shuriken or like a ninja star, whatever you want to call it. And of course I have him holding the sword, but I will notice that if you keep the sword here, the elbow just won't hold it up, just way too much weight. It'll hold it if it's on display, but any kind of movement past that, it just flops right down. And there's another cool hand here, which is meant to hold this bar this way. I'll show you what that looks like. Just wedge it in here. See? So it's got a nice hand to do that with. Let's go ahead and pop that in there, just to give you an idea what that looks like. This hand kind of looks a little bit large. Could be a perspective thing with the camera, but it is a pretty big hand. I also wanted to show you this last weapon here, which is this big four-bladed spike, which you can also use with these blue end caps according to the instructions. And the chrome, guys, by the way, is unbelievable on these weapons. See how shiny that is? Very clean chrome. Alright, so I almost packed everything up and realized I missed a couple of things. Forgot to show you guys the missiles. I also forgot to tell you that the long pole that you just saw, there's also a short pole version, a short pole version. There is also this cool shield here. I don't know how I missed that, but this shield has a handle, which is used with that hand that I showed you, was kind of like lengthwise like this, so he points it forward, so it kind of look like this with him, right? But check this out, this shield opens up this way. It's kind of hard to do. Just got to push the sides here open. So it opens like a flower. This plug comes out, and then you can attach the chrome spike to it. Alright, this is what you get when you attach the chrome spike. So it's a nice big flowery shield with a big spike on it. I don't know how I forgot to show you guys this, but using your nail, it's very hard to get at. But it's just enough for your nail to grip on. You can attach these little missiles down here like that, which I think is really cool. They don't shoot or anything, but they do look awesome. Pretty cool as a display option, I would say. One thing I noticed that this popped off, I had like a panic attack. I thought I broke it, but it turns out it looks like it's designed to, right? You can see it's got those little soft tabs that snap in, and then it's when you realize how heavy this piece really is. This is a pretty big hefty chunk of die cast metal there. You can just pop that on. I don't plan on ever taking that off too many times. I don't want that to come off very easily, but it happened when I was pulling off the hand, because the plugs are pretty tight. As a matter of fact, you can hear the pop they make. See that? And of course, Bandai sees it fit to include a nice big stand for all you psychopaths out there that love that stuff. I'm just kidding. If you like stands, whatever. But it does include this nice big stand where you literally can put everything, and I do mean everything in the set, onto this. Now, one thing I do want you to be careful with, if we can zoom in to this guy's feet for a second, you'll see two little bombs here. They peg right in, and you'll see this little hole. See that little nub? That is literally, and it pegs right in there. It's the teeniest little thing, and it unplugs from there. It's got another one that unplugs from the other side. Oh, jeez. But it has a little, like a little rod that runs through that holds these two pieces together. But the other part is literally just that little cap, and they want you to take it off just so you can install it there. It makes no sense whatsoever. Instead of just putting like a little round thing you can fit them in. I think I've talked about that way too much. And Daigo gets pegged right in here. Clint just sits right there, and the other ones just stand right there. You got all this stuff. Let me try to show you everything. It's a little hard with this here, but you can see down there, you see some parts, and you see the shield right back here, which is kind of very loosely fitting. Whoa, let's not rock that too much. The shield is very loosely fitting. This big rod goes there, the sword in the back. You get the spiky weapon here on the side. And then, of course, you can see the sword and axe. Try to do this. Does it have rubber on the bottom? It's kind of spinning my whole thing here. I'm doing it slow because I don't want anything to drop just like that did. But that is a shield, I believe. Oh, no, that was Protessor. But here's all the parts in the back, too, so you don't lose anything. Alright guys, it's day 2, about 3 days later from the original first part of this video. But guess what I have today? I have the GX-95 Baikenfu, the Soul of Chogokin. This is the original release, not the renewal. But I have this here for a reason. But first of all, let's compare size. I would have loved to compare that during my Pose Plus Baikenfu video. But, you know, that's how it is, and I don't even have it now. It's just in storage. But anyway, this is how it compares to that. This is probably the closest thing we can compare to another Chogokin, another Soul of Chogokin. I'm glad I found Baikenfu because I put a post up on the Facebook asking what people thought about the Gordian. Someone responded that it looks like old engineering compared to Pose Plus. So they're referring to this, well, I guess both in a way, but referring to this in comparison to the release of the Pose Plus, which is a very amazing figure. Make sure you go check out the video. And he also said it was it was very lazy of Bandai to have made this guy. And that it feels kind of cheap. I don't know if I'm going to say it feels cheap. Well, there you go. Okay, I was going to say it doesn't feel cheap and the ears are falling off, but that's just because they don't peg in that well. I wouldn't say it feels cheap, but I can see where that comes from. I mean, it's very hollow. As a matter of fact, the GX-95 actually came with like a dummy interior. I don't know if I could do this with one hand. If we lift this, you can see it's got a little dummy body in there. It doesn't have legs in here, so the legs are still hollow. I'm surprised they didn't do that for the Gordian. I mean, they did it for this one. It's an older figure. You would think they would take the feedback and apply it to the new one, but that's just how it is. Someone else mentioned that it looks like a Gunpla model kit with a Chogokin price. Really disappointed. And then somebody's actually only impressed with the red guy, this dude here. So I mean, it's a mixed bag of opinions, but let me give you mine, I guess. Let's move on and see what I think of it. So as far as quality, the plastics, and I do say plastics because this is pretty much plastic. I think the toes, if I'm not mistaken, are metal on this, and that's pretty much about it except for these pins here. But those pins, of course, are going to be metal, so they last. But other than that, there's no die cast. But the plastic molding is very, very crisp. So no complaints as far as the way it looks. So this guy, same thing. We got some metal down here, but except this one's on the heels. Other than that, no metal. Again, we do have nicely finished plastic. Very satin finish. I don't think it's painted. I might be mistaken. It does look like it almost has a satin finish paint, but it carries on to the insides. So no complaints as far as the plastic. This is where it starts looking a little weird. On this guy, you know, you have the Daigo in there, so it's not so bad. It doesn't look so hollow, and it's kind of small, so you don't really pick out those hollow parts. When we start getting into this, you see the crotch being empty. You know, the arms. It does have this here, but if you look up here, I mean, there's holes, and they don't have those dummy plugs like the GX-95, which is kind of strange why they would not just add those things in there. Well, I mean, how much more plastic could that be, really, right? And then we will move on to this guy. Obviously, they spent all their money on here. They invested all the quality onto this guy. But it is true, this does have an old Soul of Chogokin feel to it. Now, they could have possibly been going for that to try and give it like a vintage look. You never know nowadays with Soul of Chogokin. Some of them, you know, they try to do an anime look, and then some of them try to have a toy look. This feels like it went for the toy look, because it does have a toy feel to it. There's a lot of details on there that may or may not have shown up on the anime, but I think it's still well executed, except I could definitely see where people may not like this or think that it looks and feels cheap. I mean, I really think they should have made those inserts that go on here. Whoops, let's see. See, all you see is just hollow. It's just hollow there. Same thing with the chest. This is weird because when you have the robot separate, you can't really tell right now, but you can see, you can probably see my finger back there through the chest vents there. I think ideally what you want to do is display all of them together when they're one robot, but what if you want to display them separate? Then you still got like these empty holes. And it really surprises me that Bandai didn't make any covers or anything, just not even covers, just the little slip thing. So I guess at this point, since we've looked at pretty much everything else, we can go ahead and combine them. Now there's no parts to hold the robots open, so pretty much if you want to have that open look, I'll try and do that, but it doesn't have any extra pieces like the pose did. Now I already had gotten protests already, but let's get his arms where they're supposed to be. So technically you're supposed to do this, get the arms out, lift the head. You can see Daigo's hair there, and this goes up, right, and then the legs are open. It's probably backwards. I should have shown you how I did that prior to getting him in there. Once you get him in there, and also the biceps open, I'm not going to open those, but you can see how he is in there. You do want to make sure that the elbows are situated in a manner that they'll fold down with the figure, okay? So when he brings his arms down, they fold down, right? So you don't want to break those little joints, and you always want to make sure they're not being flexed when you decide to bring the arms down. So close that up, and of course we have to get this dude ready to go into Dellinger, or Dellinger. Now you do have to take this little plastic piece out. It does show you have to take it out. I'm not sure what that's for yet, but apparently it's to hold this section together. I don't know. What is this? Can somebody please tell me what these pieces are? Now you do have to get these arms to fold down, so you have to bring this around this way so it can fold down like this inside of Dellinger. Alright, so bring that around like that, so the fists are facing forward, the top of the hands. And this guy's pretty much ready. We're going to go ahead and get Dellinger. situated here. We're going to do pretty much the same thing with his arms. We're going to bring his arms out, rotate this that way, just like that, so I can fold down, and open this, bring this up, and just be careful. I tried to separate just the top alone. There are little hinges here. Okay, it says teepee. Open this up like that, and then obviously the biceps again on this one. So it's a little easier to open up the biceps because they're bigger. Alright, once you have that open, you can go ahead and pop this guy in there. Now one thing I did notice is that they kind of lay in there. They don't clip on like in a very precise manner like the pose does. They kind of just sit in there. So it's kind of hard to do on camera here without messing something up. So be very careful. If not, I'll do it off camera. So I got them in there, and this is pretty much what it's looking like. And then we're going to get Garbin here and open him up and get him ready to accept Dellinger. Alright, so I've gotten this far. Again, pretty much all the same basic things to get this guy going. Now this one, everything comes up in one piece. You just got to be careful because it is a lot of metal. So it's got a lot of weight here. Now you can see Garbin's completely hollow inside. It's kind of hard to suspend disbelief, you know, of this robot running around without any mechanisms inside, but that's just how it is. And then obviously this guy is going to go in here. I was trying to do like the whole thing splayed open, but apparently it's going to be hard to fit everything the way it is. I wanted to show everything together, but I guess we can kind of mock it up, boop, just like that. But we'll close everything up for the sake of the review. Alright guys, I had to do this off camera because I do have to extend my arms to be able to film, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't as straightforward as the Pose Plus. The Pose Plus literally clicks in and there's literally just no space in between the parts, and somehow they don't rub. It's very close to rubbing. But this fits very loosely. I mean, this did click in. I can't get this red shell to click over, so there's probably some misalignment. So there's a lot of annoying alignment that has to go on for this to be just right and perfect. And it should be able to close now, so we can take a look at Gordian here. It's just a matter of fitment, you know what I mean? Just getting everything aligned, and you'll see everything now snaps really good. So as long as you have Protessor aligned in there with Daigo, perfect. You should snap in together like this, and you can bring the arms down. And this is pretty much what it would look like right here, guys. We'll just do a scan down right here. Alright, you can still use the knees. You can see the shins fold on Dellinger there. Alright, so you still have full use of the knees, and of course we do have the elbow since there's nothing going on in there, and then of course the shoulders, which you saw after I brought down. Here he is next to GX-91. Keep in mind I do have those extended legs. I do have to mention that because that does add height to this, and you'll notice the amount of oxidation on all the chrome, no less. And I do mean horrible. Look at that. And that about wraps it up, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. Hope it was informative. And I'm sorry about the air conditioning noise if you heard some noise there. It's really hot in here. But if you want to pick one of these guys up, you can pick them up at BBTS. There's a link in the description below. That really helps out the channel. Even if you don't buy anything, just please peruse the site, and maybe you'll find other cool stuff that you want to buy along with that. Make sure to share and subscribe. And give us a like. All that stuff really helps keep this channel going, guys. Alright, so I can bring you more reviews if you're enjoying them. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.